Hi, Alan Stratton from Aswood Turns. At a recent club meeting, Dave made a demonstration of a volcano or salt urn salt shaker. What is that? Well, it is a salt shaker where the only hole is in the bottom. You pour salt in through that hole, shake it around till it goes inside, and then you can turn it up. That's normal use. Then when you need salt, you give it a little shake, and there's your salt. Now, he did a good job. I made a video on this same topic over 7 years ago. I'll put a link to it in the description down below. But I decided to do one, but not the same. Decided to incorporate it into a perfect sphere. Now, when I went out to make it, my wife said, "How are you going to combine the volcano salt shaker with a perfect sphere?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to go out and fail until I do." Well, as you watch this video, you're going to see several failures. One thing I'll appreciate at the end is look at how I did it, and I'm sure you can learn from it and learn a better way, and tell me what you would do differently to make this salt urn in a perfect sphere. So let's do it.
This cherry came from a neighbor a couple of years ago. At that time, I roughed it into spindles, waxed it good, and left it to dry. I've cut off a chunk that I think will do nicely, but it does not have true centers anymore. It does, however, fit in my chuck jaws. I need to trim the end square and cut a tenon to remount the wood. Then reverse it and trim the other end, plus a tenon, and turn it into a true cylinder again. I'm starting this project by turning a perfect sphere. More details are in my earlier videos. For now, I need to proceed with the calculations for the octagon method. Diameter times 0.414 for an octagon side, and diameter times 0.293 for the distance from an end to a corner along the cylinder. My diameter is 3.2 inches. I keep these two factors on my phone. That note plus the phone calculator does the trick. I like to write the results on the wood rather than try to remember them. Then lay out the lines for the two ends, the two corners, and the center line. Then trim down the end outside the line to a diameter equal to the side of the octagon. At this point, I realize I'm in trouble for the other end that is in the chuck. It will be tough to work this with the amount of wood available. I decide to switch back to centers, but I don't have a center mark yet. I'm cutting a tenon on this end, then I'm reversing the wood yet again. Now I can reduce the other end down to the same diameter. Finally, trim the end a little more and indent it with the live center to mark the turning axis. Not too bad. Now remount the wood again between centers. The wood is true to the turning axis now, and I have room to more easily cut back both ends to turn my sphere. Then proceed to cut each corner from this corner mark to the cylinder side to the corner mark on the cylinder's end. Then reduce the remaining tenon to the minimum I need to hold the sphere. Then divide each flat in half with a pencil mark. Then divide each flat yet again with a pencil mark. Then cut the corners into flats. I'm close to a sphere now, but with flat sides. I can now round it off by eye. I'm lucky this time. It looks really close. The octagon method really works. I've mounted a cup faceplate on the spindle. A rubber stopper is on the live center. With the pressure from the live center against the cup, the sphere is held nicely. I can now very carefully, with a shear cut, Remove the ghost or shadow, but leave the old equator line that now runs from pole to pole. With this looking pretty good, I'm marking a new equator line before remounting the sphere again with that line now running from pole to pole. Then again, carefully cut away the ghost or shadow, but leave the new line. Now a new equator line. I may get away this time with only the 3 minimum rotations. I'm cutting away the remaining ghost or shadow. Wow, this is pretty close. Several times I have cut too much from an end and would have to do more rotations to get the sphere perfect. But not this time. Sweet! Only the 3 rotations. Now for the sanding. 80 grit sandpaper does the final shaping. What about rotating the wood like when I was using a tool? I have to do the same, that is, at least 3 rotations for each grit of sandpaper. However, trouble. As I finished sanding, I realized that the rubber stopper is not protecting the wood from damage. Apparently, I drilled the hole a little too deep in the rubber stopper. I'm swapping the rubber stopper for another cup faceplate mounted to the tailstock. Then sand it again. Now the sphere is perfect. But I need to go on to form the ultimate project. Using a larger threaded wood faceplate with a small cup in the center, I'm making my own donut chuck. A disc with a hole smaller than the sphere's diameter will hold the sphere in place. Screws from the disc to the faceplate hold everything together. Now to drill the sphere with a 2-inch Forstner bit, but not very deep. This is only a mortise. Then switch to a 1 3/4 inch bit to drill a little deeper into the sphere. Then hollow the sphere with scrapers, a box scraper, and a round nose scraper. However, trouble again. The disc is OSB and I could not apply a lot of pressure on it to hold the sphere. The sphere shifts to a new axis. Oh no! Will I have to start over? Instead, I use another flat faceplate in the tailstock to orient the sphere so that the entrance to the hole is perpendicular to the turning axis. Then add some hot melt glue between the faceplate on the headstock and the sphere. Then tighten the donut chuck again. Then finish hollowing and true up the entrance again. Not too bad, just a little bigger than planned. Next time, I need a stiffer, more robust disc for the donut chuck. OSB does not serve well. Since my sphere now has a cross-grain orientation, I need some matching cross-grain cherry for the funnel. I've mounted another piece of the same chunk of cherry onto my chuck. For now, I have to focus on cutting a tenon for a secure mount. Then reverse the wood and start forming the exterior of the funnel. The funnel needs to have a height of about 1/3 of the depth of the cavity in the cherry sphere. I also need to fit it to a mortise or rebate in the cherry sphere. Fitting is the typical trial and test process. I have to be careful not to overcut and make it too small. Once it fits, I coarse sand it just a little to ensure salt does not stick where it should not. I also drill a little bit of the center hole, but not clear through, because the bit could wander and come out the side of the interior that will be cut next. Now I've reversed the funnel into the chuck using that tenon that I fitted to the cherry sphere. This is temporary duty to hold it while I cut a bit of a funnel on the other side. Then sand the funnel, since I probably will not get another opportunity to do so. Finally, glue the funnel into the cherry sphere and take it inside to a warmer place for the glue to dry for a couple hours. With the glue dry, I've mounted it again with half of the donut chuck. Pressure from the live center holds it in place while I ever so gently tool away the extra wood around the funnel. Then sand this interface area. Finally, I can apply shellac and buff the sphere to a nice shine. Shiny seems appropriate for this project. It has been over 7 years since I made my last salt urn video. I thank Dave for the inspiration, but I wanted a totally different shape. I think this sphere salt urn qualifies as very different. The overall process is the same as in that video 7 years ago, only the top is different. My mother frequently quoted, "If at first you don't succeed, try again." So, what would you do differently next time? Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week I make a new wood turning video. There are now 8 years worth, over 400 videos to choose from on my website. But please wear your full face shield anytime that lathe is running. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.